So we're going to look at how we can help you build an unstoppable trades business in 2021. I'm Steve Mark. I'm a trades marketing specialist. So what that means is I work with trades businesses. I help them with their marketing and I help their businesses grow. I've been working with trades businesses now for more than 10 years. My previous business, I worked with trades. And after that, I worked on the board of Vanarama, working directly with trades businesses. So I've got a lot of experience about what works to help trades get noticed locally, get more focus, and ultimately grow their business. And we're joined today also on the workshop with Simon.
Hi there, so Simon Warnford-Davis. I help businesses plan and grow, basically. So I've got over 25 years of business experience, business and finance educated. Like Steve, I've got a marketing background. I've actually now run 4 of my own small businesses, including one which was to do with the trades, actually. So it was manufacturing and installing garden offices. I've also worked for startups.
Cool. So the purpose of today, what we want you to get out of it is we're going to share some ideas on how you can find more profit in your business. We're also going to share some ideas around how you can improve the cash flow in your business. And ultimately, what that leads to is freeing up budget so that you can invest in marketing tactics that are going to help you grow your business locally. And I'm going to share some ideas about what's been working for my clients in 2020 that will help you also grow your business. But the main goal really of today is to switch on some light bulbs, is to get you thinking about how you can plan for growth in 2021. I know Simon's going to share some statistics around businesses that do plan and the success that they see from having a plan. So the idea today is we just want to switch on some light bulbs, get you thinking about planning correctly for 2021. Obviously, this year has been unprecedented. That's an overused word, but it has been unprecedented for a lot of businesses. And ultimately, even those businesses that had a plan at the start of 2020 would have still been able to pivot, adapt their plan, and move forward. The businesses that had no plan will have come off worse ultimately than the ones that did have a plan. Don't forget, if you've got any questions as we go through today, we plan to finish just after 6 o'clock. We're a little bit later starting. So if you do have any questions, pop them in the Q&A or there's a chat box directly below on the Zoom screen. So just pop them in there as we go, and then we'll answer any questions as we get to the end. So I'm going to hand over to Simon, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and he's going to take you through growing your business.
All right, let's see if we can get this to work. Okay, so let's kick off. So, recently, clearly, there's been a period of consistent growth over the last decade, really, I suppose. So last summer, still growth time. Autumn, China started to catch a cold, and that was both economically in the first place, but clearly coronavirus was a big cause of that escalating. In the winter, start of coronavirus here, mild panic, probably not so much until sort of January, February time. And clearly since March, the economic impact of coronavirus really starts to show with the shutdown or lockdown nationally. And clearly everyone on the call has been affected by that in some shape or form, I would have thought. In terms of currently turbulent times, 6 months ago, I probably said 6 months in terms of the length of this, but clearly it's going to take at least another 6 months, if not longer, to sort of get out the other side of this. So it's going to affect all our businesses for some time to come. And clearly we're now in recession. So, today it's all about preparing if you've not done so already, particularly looking at 2021 as a new year. So running a business can be risky. I'm sure if you're a business owner, you realize that 30% of small businesses fail within 2 years, 50% will fail within 5 years, and only 25% of businesses last 15 years or longer. And those statistics are actually without taking COVID into account whatsoever. So it's sort of interesting times. So in terms of COVID, you probably made changes, but without a doubt in business as a whole and your business, you might need to change those some more. There's regional lockdowns happening stage by stage, and I think depending on where you are in the country, we're in Milton Keynes or thereabouts, that probably is going to be extended into other areas as time progresses in the next month or two. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to lead the change. Don't wait and act now. So move to a faster, leaner, better business. Now, a lot of you might have already done so already in terms of looking at the costs in the business and basically cutting those. Review your products, your services, your customer service. Customers are absolutely vital at this point in time. Perhaps your pricing, delivery, and your staffing, of course. So even now, 6 months in, you need to think and prepare and plan and do lots of it. Depending on your trade, you might even need to change your business model. And if you need help, seek external help if you need to, through a business coach, HR advisor, your bank, Steve, from a marketing point of view. It's time to sort of really plan and not panic. So in terms of managing your mindset, it's absolutely vital to be positive. So as I said, running a business can be risky. Are you hopeless and stressed? Are you motivated and empowered? Are you fearful and stressed? Are you giving up and waiting for the world to end? We're 6 months into this now, so the shock of everything has sort of come and gone, and most people have got over that. But ultimately, as a business owner or manager, you need to survive, manage, and emerge. So be positive. If you have a team, it's all about leading the business forward and being positive. If you need to pivot quickly. Don't bury your head in the sand. So the message at the moment really is, are you half full or half empty in terms of that pint? You need to be the half full to get through this. Before you can identify a solution, clarify the problem. So what keeps you awake at night? Now, I tend to, as a business coach, find that people worry about 3 main things in their business: sales, marketing, and cash flow. It could be, however, that you're worrying about other things. So the market changes. So the economic factors, the recession, as I mentioned, emerging competition, COVID, of course. Wrong pricing strategy. Do you have too much growth? A lot of businesses struggle not only to survive, but when they actually thrive and start to grow, they grow too quickly. And, things can soon get out of control if you don't have procedures and plans in place to deal with that. Not knowing which direction to go in. A lot of businesses at the moment are wondering, what should I do? Is there a marketplace still? Now, if you're in the trades, then thankfully, not too much of an issue. But if you look at the events industry or hospitality, it's a completely different scenario. But, with regards to lockdowns and the trades, I know some of you have worked through it, others probably haven't. But, we're going to have more localized lockdowns without a doubt. So you need to plan for that. So it's all about identifying key problems within your business. And it can be a painful exercise. No one likes to be reminded of ways they've failed. But if you want your business to thrive during challenging times, you need to put your finger on the primary challenges that you face. Improving your cash flow. So Cash flow, you probably know about this, so I hope I'm not teaching you to suck eggs, but at the end of the month, add up your total sales, total all your purchases that you still must pay for, calculate the difference, or to have, if you have a forecasting system to monitor and predict, then so much the better. So there's good cash flow and there's bad cash flow. So cash flow management is the most important thing to manage in your business today. In fact, it probably already has been. It could be seen as the lifeblood of your business. Every successful business should know and manage the numbers. And believe it or not, 70% of SMEs just don't. They don't manage their numbers. If you don't, you could struggle, or worse, even fail. And we're now seeing the results of that. A lot of companies are going by the wayside. Now, if you're on top of your numbers, it helps, but that's, not the only reason why you might fail, of course. So cash flow is vital. And it's important to note, 9 out of 10 businesses fail on poor cash flow, even if they're good growth businesses. If they have a particular issue in a particular month or quarter when it comes to cash flow, they go under. That was largely the problem with Phones for You. Decent, growing, solid company, but they had cash flow issues. And at the end of the day, that's what killed them off. Don't spend money when you don't have to, except in sales and marketing. Marketing is vital at this time. If you can be paid for future work, do it. Offer as many payment types as you can. PayPal, credit card, whatever else. Trades, it's normally cash, but you need to offer credit cards, I would say, as an absolute minimum, because people expect it nowadays. Offer favourable payment terms to get work if you need to. And seek out past customers with an offer if you can, if you're struggling to gain custom, if you're struggling to gain the all-important revenue. So here I have 6 ways to improve your cash flow. You've got your revenue, you've got your cost of goods, you've got the overheads. I'm keeping things really straightforward here. You can gain those from your profit and loss statement and your accounts receivable, inventory, and accounts payable. So basically you tot up all of those and work out what the number of days the financial year has been calculated. And that gives you some figures in terms of cash flow. Now, this is difficult to explain in the short amount of time that we have, but if you have any difficulties with regards to working out your cash flow or need some help on that, then I'm here to help. We have at Profit Plus over 200 ways of improving your cash flow. So it could be increase your revenue via pricing. It could be reducing the cost of goods in the business, or if you're running a fleet of 10 vans and you don't need to, then that's a cost. Reduce overhead costs. Collect your debtor payments swiftly. So those that owe you money, collect them as quickly as you can. Reduce your inventory and slow creditor payments. So that's payments that you owe money to. So, like I said, there's 208 here in terms of ways that we can help you in terms of improving your cash flow. Achieving results. Well, it's all about creating objectives and a plan. So really, this is the secret sauce, if you like, or the path to business success and profit. So it's all about staying on top of your numbers and actually having a plan. What are your key goals to achieve your financial outcomes? You might decide that I want to increase my business by 50% in the next 3 years. That's a great goal to have. So what you need to do is work backwards from that point. It could be 5 years. How am I going to get to that point from where I am today? I've mentioned get on top of your numbers. SWOT analysis, so that's what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and that's part of what Steve can help you with in terms of the marketing side. Keep your costs under control, mentioned that already. Now, we used to say that companies should have 90 days minimal operational cash. Now, I know for a fact that a lot of trades work on feast to famine. So, when they get the money in, that's great. And then it soon goes out of the door or it soon gets spent. But you need to keep some money back so that you've got a cash reserve, particularly at the moment. We used to say 6 months, we're now saying 6 to 12 months is far better in terms of having a cash reserve. So if you were to stop your business today, what do you need to keep you going for 6 to 12 months? That's what you need to have in the bank as a reserve. And the funny thing is about Apple, Apple is such a cash-rich company. If they managed their business today as they were doing so, with all the expenses in the business, paying staff, getting manufacturing done, they wouldn't run out of money for over 10 years. It's probably 20 years. But the last statistic I saw was 10 years. Change your business model if you need to. And in terms of planning, a 90-day plan is ideal at this point in time, but that doesn't mean there isn't a place for a 1-year or a 5-year plan, because there is. For example, if you decide that you want to retire in 5 years' time, you need a 5-year plan, an exit strategy and an exit plan. And roll this 90-day plan on by quarter until the business returns to normal, and get it done. This could actually be the difference between survival and failure. So part of what we're doing today is giving you an understanding in terms of how you can grow your business and profits. Well, I talked about the numbers. This is what it looks like. So you've got your leads, your prospects, or your potential customers. You times that by your conversion rate, the difference between those that could have bought and those that did. And that equals your customers, so the number of different customers that you actually deal with. Times that by the number of transactions, the average number of times each customer has bought from you. Times the average cost of the sale, so the price that you sell to people at, and that equals your total revenue. Total revenue of the business times your margins, i.e. the percentage of each sale that's profitable, and that equals your profit. Now we can quite easily say, for example, in terms of the leads, you've got 4,000 leads coming into the business, your conversion rate is your conversion rate is 25%, that gives you 1,000 customers. You have 2 transactions per customer. £100 is the average sale, and in that scenario your total revenue is 200,000. Now if you times that by the margin, which in this case is 25%, that gives you £50,000 profit. Now we work by the power of 1, so a 1% here, a 1% there change, a 1% change everywhere in your business actually makes a fantastic amount of difference. So by understanding these numbers and us helping you in terms of generating your leads, Steve will talk about that shortly, looking at your conversion rate, your customers, number of transactions, suddenly we're not talking about a £50,000 profit. We could be talking about a £78,000 profit just by changing the various aspects in your business ever so slowly. Let's look at the bigger picture. So focus on your customers. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So before making changes, consider how they will affect your customer experience. And during times of crisis, it's especially important to keep the focus on your customers. People remember the actions that you take. If you seek to serve your customers even at the expense of profit, you build a huge amount of goodwill. And if you keep the focus on customers, there's a much greater chance that your business will weather the tough times. If a customer experience is one of your key competitive advantage, be especially careful about change. If you destroy one of your competitive advantages, you might end up dealing a death blow to your business. So for example, I had someone round to look at my damp in the house the other day, and he'd been running for about 30 years. His Google reviews and other reviews out there are absolutely fantastic. And, I asked him as a matter of interest, when he was going to retire, so that was 10 years, and how he'd found the recent times. And he said, apart from the lockdown, he's never been busier. And all of his business pretty much comes through referrals. So, when I say customer is king, treat them like gold dust, treat them like how they, respect, otherwise they will go elsewhere. So, ways to strengthen your business for 2021. Manage your mindset, talked about that. So this is pretty much a recap of what I talked about. Clarify the problem in the business or problems. And if you need help in doing that, then seek it out. But certainly, there'll be a number of different areas. And we actually have we call it a diagnostic report. So we ask you to go online for 25 minutes, fill in a questionnaire, and out pops an 18-page report. And, it's a traffic light system. So it's red, amber, green. The red points are the points in the business that need to be addressed. The amber are the okay points, and the green clearly are the points that are great and good to go with. So as what we can do on an ongoing basis of working with you or with our clients is we look at those reds and we really focus on that, and that makes a big difference in terms of improving the business. Conduct a SWOT analysis, so the all-important strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats that I touched upon. Create objectives and a plan and reduce costs. Use marketing and be persistent and creative and know your numbers. So if we look at creating objectives and a plan, here's a very good example. So this guy, he supplies the trades, and in his own words, he'd been bubbling along for 15 years. Very dramatic, a journey without a destination, he said. But basically, he supplies kitchens, bathrooms, and bedrooms to not only retail customers, but also the trades. And we worked for him in a year. So what happened in the year? The plan gave him focus. It really opened his eyes up to opportunities, and he basically says he can now see where he can take the business and where he can grow. And within that time frame, 38% increase in turnover and 14% in terms of profit margin or net profit. Now, I've got some statistics that I generally band around, so bear with me, but those businesses that have a plan, their sales growth tends to be between 30 and 50% greater than those that don't, in this instance 38%, and their gross profit margin tends to be about 12% higher, which is, in this case 14%. So why would you not have a plan? It just makes so much financial sense. And the beauty, of course, is that in reality, you should be spending 5% of your time planning, strategizing, and setting goals within your business. But, if we talk about creating a 5-year plan with someone in one of our 2-day workshops, that is literally 2 days out to create a 5-year plan. So it really allows you to sort of clarify where you are today, where you want to take the business, and how you want to move forward. Now, Steve might mention this earlier, or later rather, because we did a plan together in the workshop last week. So how can we help? Well, we can create a business planning session, and that includes the marketing, and we'll touch on an offer that we have at the end of this session. Budget and increase cash flow projections. So again, we can help this through a number of tools that we have. We do actually have 571 strategies that we help businesses implement, and you've seen 208 of those on the cash flow side. And we can do mentoring sessions. So, that basically means meeting up with you on a regular basis, holding you accountable in terms of helping move the business forward, give you some ideas in terms of how you can better improve your business. And it's not just about the business. A lot of business owners I talk to, it's all about the fact they're working 24/7, they're maxed out. I had one electrician who basically said he wants to go back to a salaried role because, he just found his business far too tough to run. We can sort that out, no problem at all. And basically get you to a point where you're working, as we say, on your business and not in it. So you can step away from the business, you can have holidays, you can have time with family, you can go off and set up another business or whatever you want to do, gardening. But clearly, what we do is put processes and procedures in place make people in the business accountable if you have a team, and pass the responsibilities onto them, so you can take a step back, whether to do those activities or actually concentrate on growing your business further. So that's it from me. As I said, there's a real special offer at the end of this, which we'll touch upon at the end. But now I'd like to hand back to Steve, who's going to talk about marketing. Steve, you're on mute, I think.
Thanks, Simon. So I'm just going to share my screen, and then we'll crack on. That was a fantastic presentation. There was stuff in there that that I didn't know, and I've used Simon for my business planning, and I've got to say it's really switched on some light bulbs. It's really given me some other areas to explore in my business. So I'm going to walk you through some marketing tactics that are working for trades businesses right now. So these are marketing tactics that I'm using at the moment, which are really sort of helping the trades businesses that I work with grow. And they've worked in 2020 so far, and they will definitely work for your business in 2021 and beyond. So the first tactic is to double down on Google My Business. So for those that don't know, Google My Business is a free service which is given by Google to business owners, and it gives you the ability to create a listing, which I'll show you in a second. And it matters because 46% of all searches are done locally. And of those searches, service-based businesses benefit the most from being on Google My Business. And of the people that visit your Google My Business listing, 56% will take some form of action. And usually that is that they will visit your website. And 32% will also pick up the phone and call you direct. So that's why it's really important. And I just wanted to share with you just what a typical Google My Business listing looks like. And as you can see, just on the right-hand side there, if you search for a particular service or you search for a particular brand, then and they've got a Google My Business listing, then it will appear on the right-hand side of the screen, and it gives access to things like you can have your website button on there. You can have directions. So if you have a physical location where people can visit, and people can call you direct from your listing as well. And if you chase Google reviews, which is really important, and I'll explain why that's important in a second, then it will show your star rating alongside your listing. So why is having a Google My Business listing important? It's another channel that you can drive leads and inquiries through to your business. So this is an actual report that you can run from within your Google My Business backend admin area. And as you can see there, over the quarter, this particular plumbing and heating business had 111 actions on their Google My Business listing. So an action is where someone's either requested directions, where they've hit the call button, or whether they've visited your website. So they've clicked the visit website button, and you can see those results on the side there. And those results, as you can see over time, the trend is going upwards. So the more effort and the more work you put into your Google My Business listing, the more results you're going to get from it. But also, driving reviews are a really important factor. So when you have your Google My Business listing set up, you can start requesting reviews from clients. And as you can see, I've typed in plumber in Leighton Buzzard, which is the town that I live in, and you can see that the listings below. Now, of those three listings, which one are you more likely to call? You're more likely to call the one that's got the better star rating for a start, and it appears at the top. So if you put the effort in to optimizing your Google My Business listing, you're basically getting free traffic through to your website. And the sort of traffic that you're getting is really high quality traffic, because people that are searching for local services are what we would call in market. They need your services either now or very soon in the future. The second tactic I want to share, which is working really well for local businesses, is to leverage Facebook groups. So if you run a business that's based locally and you sell into your local area, you must have a Facebook page. You know, that's a prerequisite of running a business these days. But also is proactively marketing your Facebook page. So I just wanted to share with you one way that you can leverage local Facebook groups to get additional reach for your business, to reach new audiences and ultimately drive inquiries through to your website. So one of the things you can do is when you create content on your own Facebook business page, is you can then share that into local community groups and business groups. That is giving you so much more reach for your posts and for your social media content. And in turn, when people do start to engage more with your posts, because you're reaching new audiences, you can actually invite them to like your Facebook page. So you're getting a double benefit. You're getting additional reach for your content, but you're also growing your Facebook page audience. And as you can see on the bottom right hand of that third arrow, there is a button that appears where you can invite people through to like your Facebook page. So that's just a really simple strategy that you can use to leverage local Facebook groups. So create content on your page, share it into local community and business groups in every area. There'll be dozens and dozens of local pages. And when people do engage with your posts, make sure that you invite them to like your Facebook page as well. So another tactic that you can use is to create some video content. And there's loads of video content creators that do a lot of the work for you and make it really easy to create. What you want to do is create a really simple, straightforward video, as I've done for this particular plumbing and heating business. We created a short teaser video about their reviews and some of the offers that they had on, and then we shared it on our Facebook page, and then we shared that post into Facebook groups. And as you can see, we started to get some really good views and some really good reach. So, it was shown to over 6,000 people watched the video, and of that, 2/3 watched it for at least 10 seconds. So incredible exposure for the business, free exposure. And then what you can do is when you start to promote video content and you start to get views, you can actually delve in and start to look and see who's watching your videos. So if you're unsure maybe who your particular audience that you're pitching to is, by creating more content, putting the content out there and letting people engage and watch it, then you can start to see who your audience is. So of this particular video that we put out, you can see that 53% of the people that watched it were women, and the average age group was 35 to 44. So that starts to give you some good insights into who your target audience is and who's engaging and watching your content. The other thing that you can do with using Facebook groups and video content, if you create a video for your business, like we did there, like I just showed you on the previous slide, you then share and post that into your own Facebook page. And then what you want to do is share it into local community groups. And then what you can do is you can then, using Facebook ads, you can then retarget people who've watched a good proportion of that video. And what that does is that gives you a warm audience that you can serve with further ads. It could be an offer, it could be an invitation to message you through Facebook Messenger. But essentially what you're doing is you're talking to an already warm audience. They've seen some of your content, they've maybe engaged with it. And that's the way of moving people through the sales funnel, from a cold audience who've never heard of you before through to people that have seen your video and engaged with it. And then what you want to do is serve them an ad that basically seeks to try and close them and turn them into a lead and inquiry. And then the third tactic that I want to share with you today is all about using local area pages for your core products. This is a big SEO win over time, but it is a longer burn strategy, but it is really important. So why use local area pages? So these are pages on your website, and they're great for service area businesses. So businesses that serve a local geographic area. It helps to broaden your reach beyond just your local area. So typically for a lot of trades businesses, you will service the main town in which your business is based, but then you will also service towns in outlying areas. So if we take Leighton Buzzard as an example, there's some big towns that surround Leighton Buzzard, Aylesbury, Milton Keynes, Luton, Northampton. There's some big areas that surround the town. So this is a way of broadening your reach by improving your search engine position for particular areas. It creates a better experience for prospects, because when they're searching for your service in a particular town, rather than going to your homepage, they will generally go through to one of these local area pages. And it's obviously great for your lead generation because you're providing a much better experience. So how do they work? So what we want to do is use the 80-20 principle. So we want to decide what your main towns are and the suburbs where you get 80% of your work. We then want you to list out what core services you offer. So taking plumbers as an example, it could be boiler repairs, it could be boiler servicing, it could be new boiler installations. So they're the core services typically that most plumbing and heating businesses will offer. Of course, they would do kitchens, repairs, and so on and so forth, flushing and all sorts. Then we want you to start building up the pages that match. So you're looking for your area plus your service. So it could be boiler repair, Northampton. It could be boiler installation, Northampton. And you've got your example down there for that. So this is what a typical local area page will look like in practice. As you can see, the title on the page is really clear what the page is about. So new boiler installations in Leighton Buzzard. So anyone that's typed that into Google, they will invariably land on this page, and it is really clear that this page speaks directly to them, which is why the conversion rates of these pages is really, really high, i.e. they're going to get the phone call, or they're going to get the inquiry coming in through email. And then what you want to do with these pages is make it really easy for people to get in contact with you. Most people don't have lots of time. They don't want to read too much information. They've got a problem and they're looking for someone to solve that problem. So by putting a call button square and center on the page, you're increasing your chances that somebody's going to tap that, especially on a mobile, or giving them an alternative to fill in an inquiry form. You're covering both bases. And then you'll see just across the top of the page, you've got some really good sort of building of authority there with displaying the Google star rating across the top. And then on the top left, you've got the ability to take cards. So you're hitting all the sort of emotional kind of touch points to increase your chances of getting a conversion. So as you can see there, new boiler installation, Leighton Buzzard, that's one of the key pages. And I just wanted to share with you, so just by doing this, this process, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can see we actually track the keywords for this particular business. And as you can see, boiler installation, Leighton Buzzard, they're ranked number 4 on Google because we've got this really, highly targeted landing page, local area page for that particular key search term. And, if you look at the ones above, even though this business is not based in these towns, we've got an improving situation on some of the other keywords that they're being targeted for as well. And this is quite a new business in terms of having a presence on Google. So one thing to bear in mind is when you do create these local area pages is to make sure that they're listed somewhere on your homepage. It's really important for Google to be able to find those pages and index them. They need to be linked from your homepage. And a good place to do that is just in the footer of your homepage. And as you can see, on this particular website, we've started to build out more landing pages for key search terms, so boiler repairs, boiler servicing, and then moving on to other towns. And those are being expanded all the time. So just a few things to remember for this particular tactic to work and to be effective. Content for these pages must be unique. You can't just copy and paste from one page to another. The content has got to be as unique as possible. Follow SEO best practices. So things like making sure that you've got a title on the page, that you've got a good, strong heading on the page, and it correlates with the search term. And you want to limit this tactic to really 20, 25 pages. You want to focus on quality over quantity. It's really tough to write unique content for 30, 40, 50 pages. So that's why we tend to use the 80-20 rule. Look at where you get 80% of your work from, and look at 80% of your core products, and kind of mix the two together. And then you want to make sure that Google has a good chance of ranking that page well. So you need to have 300 to 400 words in there that are unique to that page, but talk about that particular service in that particular town. And finally, don't keyword stuff. Don't just write naturally great content. You don't want to try and trick Google, because it doesn't work anymore. It used to 15 years ago, but it doesn't work anymore. Just write naturally great content. And then the fourth tactic, which I'm going to share with you, is if you're promoting a local service business, a local trades business, then really you've got to look into doing some sort of paid advertising to boost and top up your lead generation, especially if you're a relatively new business and you don't have a good digital footprint. You're going to need some sort of paid tactic to get your leads and to get your phone ringing. So Google ads are obviously really effective for local businesses. You can see here that when you do a search, Google puts 3 or 4 listings at the top. These are obviously paid ads, and the businesses that appear here are paying to be there. They're paying per click. So every time somebody clicks on that particular ad, they will be paying Google to appear there. It's done very much like an auction. So to appear at the top, if you want to appear sort of above that business, then you're going to need to bid a higher cost per click than that particular business. So it works on the basis of a bidding system. So before you start to get too into doing paid ads, you need to ask yourself a few questions. And these are, what are your business goals? So what are you trying to achieve financially? It's important to kind of start with your objectives. How much extra work can you take on? There's no point running Google ads and Facebook ads if you literally can't take any more work on. But then maybe you've got another problem, which is how do you work smarter? Can you take on another van, for example? How many leads do you need per day? So what's your sort of lead to deal close rate? What's your conversion rate? So if you had 10 leads coming in, typically how many of those would you convert into a deal? What's your average invoice value? So taking the plumbing and heating business as an example, they could end up invoicing 70, 80 pounds for a boiler service, or £2,500, £3,000 for a new boiler installation, and everything in between. And then what's the lifetime value of the customer that you're going to attract into your business? So again, taking the example of a plumbing and heating business, if you go out and service a boiler today, then that customer in a year, 2 years, it could be 6 months, it could be a month, who knows? But if their boiler fails and they need to replace their boiler, then that customer's lifetime value is going to go through the roof. But typically, most good plumbing and heating businesses will retain their customers for a good number of years until they maybe sell up and move house. It could be 3, 4, 5 years or more. So their lifetime value could be really high. And then you've got the spin-off work from doing boiler work or servicing as well. So you've got to understand your numbers. So I use a method called working back when we look at setting up campaigns for clients. And the working back method just kind of starts with the objective in mind. So if you think about, let's say you wanted to target extra revenue, and that extra revenue, you wanted to target was an extra 24,000. Maybe you want to take on another van, and you need to fill that van with work and keep it on the road and to keep it busy. So you're targeting an extra 24,000 in revenue. So how do you generate that revenue from paid advertising? And how do you know whether it's going to be effective in terms of ROI? So the next step you want to say is, well, to get that 24,000 revenue, if we got an extra 3 boiler jobs per week over the course of a month, average boiler, 1,800, 2,000 maybe, but let's say it's £2,000, then that 12 sales is going to net 24,000 in extra revenue. But how do you get those 12 sales? So the next step up in the working back method is, let's say your close rate is 1 in 4. So 1 in 4 quotes you do for a new boiler turns into a job. I know plumbing and heating businesses where it's much higher than that. I know some that are in a very competitive area, and it's a little less than that. But you will know what your average is, and you can use this method for working out your own costings. So to get 12 sales, you're going to want 48 leads, and to get those 48 leads, typically from a Google Ads campaign, the conversion rate from people visiting your website to then making an inquiry, either picking up the phone or calling, or filling in a web form, you're looking at about a 10% conversion rate. So you need 480 clicks. Now, this is where we do the maths, and this is where we sort of work out how much is that campaign going to cost you. So average cost per click will work on £4. So that's what you pay Google to attract that person onto your website. Sometimes it can be as low as a couple of pounds in very competitive areas, cities. It can be higher than that. So we'll take that as an average for most towns. So that means the campaign cost over the course of a month is just under £2,000 that you're going to pay to Google to get those 480 clicks onto your website. But there is potential revenue there of 24,000. Now, some of those inquiries might be for just they want a boiler repair, but they've come in on a slightly different search. Maybe they want a service. But even if you took half of that as potential revenue, that's still a great return. A 6 times return on ad spend is potential, even at the lower amount. So that just gives you a little bit of an insight into how you can sort of work that back. I just want to share with you, there are ways of, stacking the odds in your favor, if you like. There are ways of pulling some levers that will reduce your costs and make your campaigns far more effective. So the first one is you can lower your cost per click by continually optimizing your Google ad campaigns, reducing wasted clicks, getting rid of negative keywords, so keywords that people are using to search that aren't relevant, for your business and your products and services. The second thing you can do is improve your landing page conversion rates. So by adding more social proof, by adding videos, making it really simple for people to make contact for you and make it really easy. And then the final way is improving your lead to deal conversion rates. So improve the journey, improve your customer communications, improve your response times. If you typically leave it 6 to 12 hours before you go back to an inquiry, you're leaving money on the table. So the name of the game is to contact people as quickly as you possibly can. And then the final thing I just wanted to share with you, and then I'm sort of wrapping up my part of today's workshop, is putting this all together. How do you kind of put everything together in a bit of a marketing strategy? So you need to think about both long and short-term tactics to grow your business locally. So you can't be always doing short-term tactical campaigns. You need to be thinking about what's the long-term stuff that you can do to build your brand, build your sort of front of mind so people think about your business when they have a problem or a need. And then what are the short-term tactics? So long-term helps to build the brand over time, and short-term is good for driving immediate sales. But, once that campaign has come to an end, then you need another campaign to take over to continue it. So you need both to be able to create a sustainable business. So the suggested mix for most sort of local businesses is a mix of 50-50. Look at 50% short-term tactics and 50% long-term. So I've just split these up for you just to give you some ideas on what is considered the long game and what is considered the short game. So long-term stuff is search engine optimization. You work on it today. It's going to take time before it really takes effect. Anything from 3, 6, 12 months before you start to see real tangible results. Google My Business optimization. Again, if you started a Google My Business account today, then you're not really going to see the fruits of your labor for a good sort of 2 to 3 months, and then over time it's going to build. So this is part of a long game. And business networking, again, really effective for growing your business. There's some great networking organizations out there, BNI being one of them, but it does take time to get known in the group, to get known, to get liked and trusted, and build your business through local networking. Then you've got a few short-term campaign tactics. This is known as the short game. So if you want to get your phones ringing fairly quickly, then Google PPC is a way of doing that. Facebook can be effective for raising awareness of your brand and for starting conversations with your target audience. Door drops, so leafleting, local print ads. These are all short-term tactics that can be used to kind of grow your business and get leads coming through. Social media awareness, it kind of straddles both. It's a bit of a long game, but also can be used in the short term. And if you have got a customer database, then you can be emailing them with offers, new products, new services that you offer. And then just finally, you want to then split this down into what you're doing in your business that is considered paid strategy. What are you doing with the audiences that you already own? So your website, your social media, people that follow you on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever else, Twitter. What are you doing to connect with those? And if you have an email list and it's in a CRM, then what are you doing to reach out on a regular basis and make sure that you're front of mind? You could have a referral scheme, for example, and you make people aware of it. And then in terms of an earned strategy, so this is where you earn awareness around your business and impressions. And so you could do some local PR, you could do some local awards to get your business known, or you could create some viral content on social media. So they're all three very viable strategies that you can deploy in your trades business to make sure that you're keeping your awareness up, so that people are aware of who you are. So that sort of brings to the end of the workshop today in terms of the presentation from Simon and the presentation from myself. We did have a couple of questions that came through. I'll share one question that came through. I'm just going to stop presenting. I'm going to exit that, and then we'll go. I'll just carry on sharing. Sorry about this. So one of the questions that I had come through was, let me just get that going again. Sorry about that. As you can tell, I'm not. There we go. So one of the questions I had that came through, and I know Simon said he had one or two. So one of the questions that I was sent was, how much should I budget for my marketing? And it's a great question. And there's no one size fits all answer. I'm a big fan of starting with zero and really firstly understanding what are your business objectives for the next 12 months. And one of the ways obviously you can do that is to get stuck into your business planning, which will then start to draw out the figures and projections and what you need. So you really have to start with what are your objectives. So if your objectives are to grow your revenue by 100,000, then you need to sort of look at how marketing is going to help support that growth. Where can you get that growth in your revenue from organically by adjusting your prices or by selling more to existing customers? And then, how does that then play out for marketing to support your growth? So as an example, you can use the working back method to sort of, when you've got some data in your business about how much it costs to acquire a new customer, you can then use that working back method to start to understand how much you need to put into your marketing budget to get out what you need at the other end. The worst thing you can do is take your turnover level and just say, well, we'll put 10%. We'll put 10% of the business's turnover into marketing, because that's really not helping you. You need to start from a zero basis and say, what do you want to get out of the next 12 months in terms of additional revenue, and how is your marketing going to support that, and how much do you need to then put into each channel? So unfortunately, there's no one quick answer to that question, but it should really be about starting from base zero and then building your marketing plan and your marketing budget according to the plan. Simon, I don't know if you had any other questions come through.
It's an interesting point just raised. We say that 80% of marketing doesn't work, so it's really a case of having a portfolio of different marketing options, whether that's networking or the Google ads that you just talked about, or social, or what have you, and running sort of 8 to 10 of those at any one time, and basically reviewing which ones work and which ones don't. And that's actually quite a big part of what we do in terms of the quarterly reviews that I sort of touched upon. Yeah. And that actually brings me back to one of the questions I've been asked in terms of why quarterly reviews. So why quarterly reviews? Because basically you look back at the last 90 days, work out what's happened and what hasn't, specifically from a marketing point of view, review that, and then work out whether that has met the goals set in the marketing plan or not. If it's above it or equals it, then great. If it's below it, then what do we need to get back on track? So at that point, you adjust the marketing mix or whatever else it might be in terms of looking at the next 90 days and putting a stake in the sand, and ultimately holding, from my point of view, business owner accountable in terms of, right, we need to do this over the next 12 weeks. How are we going to get and grow your business? And it is by putting in some very specific things in terms of goal setting for the next 90 days.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I've got a question for you. In fact, I mean, what you talk about in terms of Google and Facebook, which everyone knows is the right thing to do. What about LinkedIn? Because you didn't mention LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn, is in the mix. I think, the first thing you have to do is take a step back from making tactical choices. And, although I couldn't cover it in the short time that we had, one of the things you need to do is do some buyer persona research. So really understand who your audience is, who you're looking to sort of tap into. I'll use the example again of plumbing and heating businesses, because I think it's a good industry to sort of use, but it could be applied to a lot of other industries. So for a plumbing and heating industry, business rather, they might want to be obviously attracting homeowners as their sort of B2C offering. But also I know a lot of plumbing and heating business owners that also want to attract landlords and letting agents and estate agents, because they're great referrers for them for when they need gas safe certificates, landlord certificates. They're a great referral for them. So it's really understanding who your audience is and who your buyer personas are. So if you are looking to sort of grow a more commercial audience, then I think LinkedIn is a fantastic option. But also, even if you're really focusing on B2C, of course, for most areas, LinkedIn is going to have hundreds, if not thousands of members in even some of the smallest towns. So actually, by building up your network on LinkedIn, every business owner is either going to be renting or owning a house. The chances are they're going to be owning a house. So even if your prime market is B2C, you're still going to find customers on LinkedIn. So it's a great question, and it's another sort there is not a one size fits all, but it kind of starts with understanding who your buyer personas are and then kind of working from there. And if one of your buyer personas is you want to speak to more estate agents, letting agents, landlords, you're going to find them, and you're going to find them on LinkedIn, and you're going to find it quite easy to target them on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's all about finding, highlighting your awareness and your profile, and clearly just by posting on LinkedIn, that's a pretty good free way of getting promotion for you. So I know a kitchen installer, and every time he installs a kitchen, he promotes it and shows the pictures on LinkedIn, and clearly anyone that's linked up to him sees that he promotes himself on a regular basis. So when they get round to perhaps wanting a kitchen themselves, then hopefully he'll come top of mind. It's quite interesting what you've been talking about in your presentation, because we always used to say, didn't we, that marketing isn't a science, but clearly it is. And through the numbers that you were talking about, pretty much resonates with what I was saying in terms of know your numbers. So whether you know the numbers with regards to your business and the numbers of your profit, loss, revenue, margins, etc., or your marketing numbers, it's resonated with me how closely the two were interlinked.
There was a great saying years ago, sorry to cut in, there was a great saying years ago, which was, this was a quote from the sort of 70s, 80s kind of advertising era. But it was, the quote is 50% of your marketing is wasted. You just need to figure out which 50%. Now that probably rang true and held water in the sort of 80s, 90s. But now, you can be so targeted with your marketing, and you can get so much data from digital marketing that actually there's no excuse for not knowing what your particular marketing activities are wasted or what you're not getting a return on. Because the data is there in front of you. So there's no excuse for not knowing now.
Yeah. If you want to go to the last slide, it's sort of one question brings me on to this in terms of the business planning workshops that I talked about, just to explain what those are. So you can do a business plan in several different ways. You can do it yourself. Would you get the numbers right? Maybe not. Would you spend loads of time doing it when perhaps you didn't need to? Most certainly, yes. I mean, the average, to do a proper, robust 5-year business plan, probably something like 36 hours if you were to do it by yourself. Or you can go to your accountant. But the problem with going to your accountant is your business plan will probably reflect the numbers in the business and work out what those might be now and into the future, but it really won't focus on the sales, the marketing aspects, which we're talking about today, or the operational aspects. So what we do, and this is quite unique, is we do it in a business planning workshop. So as you know, because you did one on Friday, we do a 1-year business plan in 1 day, or we do a 5-year business plan in 2 days, which tends to be, a Friday, for example, of 1 week, and then the next day is actually a week later, so the next Friday as well. So the special offer that we wanted to talk to you today about was creating a business plan from us, Profit Plus, which is worth £2,500. Quarterly reviews, and we've touched upon those in terms of the Q&A, in terms of how important those are. So that's worth £1,000. So we charge, it's just under £100 a month for those. And then we've got the 12-month marketing plan and strategy setting from Steve. So clearly that marketing plan dovetails into the business plan. So that's worth £1,000, and we've got the 12-month marketing support from Steve. So essentially, if you have a question or an issue or whatever, then Steve's your man in terms of, he'll be on the end of the phone for you. So the total for all of that is an eye-watering 14,000, but actually you've got to look at it as an investment, because we're talking about growth. And you might remember earlier, you saw me talking about the bedroom kitchen guy who increased his business 38% in a year. So, you've got to look at it in terms of an investment, and this is what I'm going to get out of the business, like Steve mentioned on the marketing. we're offering a 10% workshop discount. So if you were on the workshop today or you listen to the recording, then that's available for you. Total investment is a touch over £12,000. Now, clearly in this day and age, asking you to sort of stump up with that in one fell swoop isn't going to really cut the mustard. So what we're doing is actually offering it as on a subscription basis type of model. So essentially it's just over £1,000 per month. Now you saw the figures that Steve was talking about in terms of marketing return on investment. I mean, the same goes for the business planning as well, but clearly, you know, that's what I would say pretty good value in terms of you getting both of us you know, for the next 12 months. You're getting a really robust 5-year business plan, which is worth £2,500 on its own. And ultimately that will turbocharge your business. And then you're getting all of the sort of marketing plan, strategy and support that Steve offers as well. I don't know if you want to sort of add to what I've just said, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, you know, essentially you'll come away sort of with a really robust business plan. You've got your 4 quarterly reviews to make sure that you're keeping on track with the plan. I will feed in based on the objectives which have been drawn from the business planning session. I will come in with a marketing plan and a strategy that will help you achieve the goals that you set out in your plan. And then you've got the support each month to help you execute that plan. So that support could be things like helping you leverage Facebook, helping you set up your Google ads. You know, it could be, you know, helping you on day-to-day social media, helping you with your local SEO, and generally sort of being on hand to sort of advise on ad hoc marketing support. One thing we've done for one plumbing and heating business, you know, within his monthly kind of retainer, is basically helped him get set up with the FCA and become an appointed representative so he can offer 0% finance. So it's not just executing marketing tactics, it's being on hand to help you execute your strategy and your plan. So it's a great deal, and it's a great offer, and it's everything you need to sort of help your business grow in 2021 and beyond. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else, Simon, before we wrap up.
No, I mean, this is a genuine offer, so we should put a time limit on it, shouldn't we? So let's say this offer's available until the end of the month, so until the end of October. And if you were interested in this, then again, the next slide, Steve, I think has our details on, doesn't it, in terms of contact one or other of us through those methods. The dog and bone, or indeed email us, and we'll be happy to discuss more about it and you know, let you know exactly how we move forward with this. But clearly there are benefits there for you, not in terms of just growing your business, but improving your marketing. I mean, I know Steve well, and he is so knowledgeable on this front, so he'll definitely be able to help you, and he's got some really good case studies to support that.
Yeah, and similarly with Simon, I've done the business planning session. There were so many light bulbs being switched on during the session. It's given me loads to really focus on over the 12 months, but a lot to work on in the next sort of 2 or 3 months. So it's worked really well on both fronts to help me squeeze as much as I can out of what we've got left of 2020, but going forward into 2021 with a really rigid plan that's going to help me achieve my objectives. So listen, thank you so much for joining us on this free workshop today. I hope you've got loads and loads of value from it. You've got the contact details there. Reach out to either one of us to take advantage of that offer, and then we'll speak to you real soon. So thank you so much for joining us.